tabs on India's drug makers, who are hoping that the Trump administration will refrain from slapping at least 25% tariffs on pharma imports. India, as we know, makes cheaper generic versions of complex innovative drugs and exports them to over 200 countries. So let's talk about this with Somnath Mukherjee, who is the CIO of Ask Private Wealth. What are you thinking about with regards to pharma over in India? I mean, how much of an impact could this have if Trump does indeed follow through with what he's saying here?
Right. The entire conversation around reciprocal tariffs that Trump has started, not specific to India, but with pretty much all the major trade partners of the US, taken literally and normatively, the impact's going to be fairly significant on India. India's not just, US is not just India's largest merchandise trading partner, but also the largest service trading partner. And on both counts, India enjoys a very large trade surplus with the US. So a tariff war with the US has a significant negative impact on Indian macros, dovetailing down into companies as well. One could, in the worst case scenarios, look at anywhere between 50 and 100 basis points shave off in GDP growth rate if it came to a real literal extrapolation of Trump's threats on reciprocal tariffs. But really, that is the worst case scenario, an absolute worst case scenario, which really is not what the base case should be. And the reason why it should not be the base case is very simple. One is India has multiple levers to balance trade with the US. One, energy. India is the second largest energy importer in the world between oil, LNG, and coal. Shifting some of the trade from Russia or Middle East to the US is a fairly easy, though somewhat expensive way to balance the trade. Certainly, the cost will be lower than getting into a tariff war. Second, India has been diversifying weapons imports away from Russia for a good 15, 16 years now. Over the last 15 or 16 years, Indian imports of American weapons have gone up to several tens of billions of dollars, and that trajectory is only going to get sharper in the next few years as the whole China situation geostrategically shapes up, and everyone's got to sort of prepare for that. So those are two significant levers with which India can balance the trade with the US without getting into a tariff war. Last but not the least, it's not just about the economics. There are very few major countries in the world that are broadly in sync with the Trumpian imagination of what a partner or ally should look like. And India is clearly one of them. India does not depend on a US security umbrella. Indian security is not backstopped by either US Navy ships in India or US troops stationed in India. So India is a net security provider in the region. So all of this put together, the base case is really there will be much cheaper options to tackle this threat than the worst case of a tariff war.
Okay, got it. And Somnath, just very quickly, we've got to squeeze it in. You prefer India financials, no doubt insulated from some of the stuff that you were just talking about, and also large caps. Why? Because the larger companies, India is undergoing a cyclical consolidation right now. And typically, we've seen larger companies have greater flex in managing slowdowns when they happen. And secondly, of all the major investable patches in the Indian market, the only patch where multiples valuations seem somewhat reasonable are the financial side. And given that we expect rates to be coming off and they have peaked out already and they're on their way down, we expect some of the lenders to be a first order beneficiary. So it's a combination of the fact that multiples are a lot better than the rest of the market, and second, likely to get some tailwinds in terms of margins going forward. Got it. Got it. Somnath, thank you so much for your time. We have to leave it there. It's the end of the show.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Somnath joining us from
India. That's all we have time for on this edition of Street Signs. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of Tanny and myself here in Singapore, stay tuned to CNBC. We'll see you next week.